Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about Armenia, specifically between 140 and 55 BC. This was the time when Tigranes the Great was king of Armenia. It was also the time when Armenia was at the peak of its power. So let's see what was happening in Armenia back then. Before we start, if you enjoy this kind of content and want more videos like this, consider subscribing to my channel. In the meantime, I would like to announce that all sources used in this video are added in the description below. Tigranes the Great, or Tigran Mets in Armenian, was born in 160 BC in the city of Artaxiad, which is now located in modern-day Armenia. He was the son of King Ariston and Queen Pharno. Tigranes acceded to the throne in 95 BC after his father's death. At the time, the Kingdom of Armenia had become a client state of the Roman Republic following its defeat of the Seleucids during the First Mithridatic War. Tigranes' first task as king was to deal with the situation in the west of his kingdom, where the Roman general Lucullus had left a force of 3,000 men under the command of Marcus Brutus to keep the Armenians in check. But these troops were actually supposed to be temporary, and their stay was only supposed to last 3 years. However, they stayed longer and even minted their own coins with the inscription Armenians beyond the river faces. Furthermore, the Romans did not withdraw their troops after defeating the Armenians in battle, but instead plundered the country and besieged the city of Tigranokerta. Tigranes managed to lift the siege, but Lucullus soon returned to Armenia with a new army. Tigranes' army was defeated again, and he fled to the Parthians for refuge. After 2 years, Tigranes returned to Armenia with the help of the Parthians. The Romans were forced to retreat, and the peace treaty concluded between Tigranes and Rome granted him all the territories previously held by the Seleucids. Tigranes also repelled an invasion from the nomadic Scythians, who had previously raided into Armenia and other parts of the Middle East, sacked cities, and even pillaged the Seleucid capital of Antioch. Now he could turn his attention to the east and north and expand his empire. The kingdom of Armenia was traditionally polytheistic, but during Tigranes' reign, it saw the emergence of a cult of personality around the king. Tigranes established a mint in 83 BC with the image of himself and his wife, which proclaimed him as the Great King or King of Kings. The title was unprecedented in Armenia and reflects the expansionist ambitions of the king. Tigranes' coinage also featured Greek and Iranian motifs and symbolized the meeting of Greek and Eastern cultures in his court. After securing his western borders, Tigranes launched a campaign into northern Iran, where he took the cities of Media Atropatene and conquered the Eutyci and the Albanians. In 80 BC, he led his army into Mesopotamia and captured the cities of Sardis and Babylonia, as well as the town of Karana, which was sacred to the Jews and had been occupied by the Seleucids. Tigranes' armies continued to advance, and he soon controlled the entire upper reaches of the Euphrates River, an area that had been part of the Assyrian Empire in ancient times. In 75 BC, Tigranes campaigned in the Caucasus region and subdued the Iberian kingdom of Colchis, which was famous for its wealth and the location of the Golden Fleece, according to Greek mythology. Around this time, Tigranes founded several cities, including the city of Tigranokerta in Mesopotamia, which became one of the largest cities in the region. Meanwhile, the Roman Republic was in turmoil. The civil wars between Marius, Sulla, and Caesar had greatly weakened the central authority and made it difficult for Rome to intervene in the affairs of its former allies. So Tigranes felt emboldened to invade Roman Asia Minor in 73 BC. He easily defeated the Armenian generals who tried to stop him and advanced as far south as the city of Sinope on the Black Sea coast. There he met no resistance and stayed there for 3 years. During his campaigns in Anatolia, Tigranes had been plundering Roman territory and taking captives, which caused the Roman Senate to declare him a public enemy. But Tigranes was undeterred and continued to press on. He invaded Syria and Phoenicia, defeated the local Roman governors, and advanced as far south as the city of Ptolemais. At this point, Tigranes was at the height of his power, and his empire stretched from the Caspian Sea in the east to the Mediterranean Sea in the west, and from the highlands of Armenia in the north to Mesopotamia in the south. However, his empire was short-lived. As the Roman civil wars came to an end and Octavian emerged as the victorious leader, he turned his attention to Armenia. Octavian sent a delegation to Tigranes demanding that he release the Roman captives and pay a sum of money as compensation for the damage done to Roman property. Tigranes refused, claiming that he was not aware that the captives were Roman citizens and that he had acquired them legitimately in war. Octavian responded by declaring war on Armenia and sending an army to invade the country. Tigranes realized that he was outmatched and decided to flee to the Parthian Empire for refuge. He offered to surrender all of his war booty and pay a hefty sum of money as a fine for his transgressions, but Octavia refused. The Roman army invaded Armenia and captured the royal family, including Tigranes' mother, sister, and brothers. They were taken to Rome as prisoners and paraded through the streets in chains. Tigranes himself escaped to the Parthians and lived out the remainder of his life in exile, dying in 55 BC. Tigranes' son, Artaxiad, tried to resist the Roman occupation of Armenia, but he was defeated and killed in battle. His brother Tigranes fled to the Bosporus kingdom of Pontus and founded a new dynasty there. The kingdom of Armenia was now under Roman control, and the Artaxiad dynasty was at an end. So what did Tigranes achieve during his reign? First of all, he reunited the Armenian people under one king and established a centralized government. He reformed the army and equipped his soldiers with new weapons and armor. He also built roads, temples, and other public works throughout the kingdom, and he promoted trade and economic activity. Tigranes was a patron of the arts and literature, and his court was a center of intellectual activity. He invited Greek philosophers and scientists to his capital and encouraged the study of Greek literature and philosophy. In fact, Tigranes' court was so Hellenized that some historians argue that he was more Greek than Armenian. Finally, Tigranes was a bold and ambitious ruler who was not afraid to take risks. He expanded his empire beyond the traditional boundaries of Armenia and brought his country to the peak of its power and wealth. He was known as a brilliant military strategist and tactician, and he was able to defeat much larger and more powerful armies than his own. So what do you think about Tigranes the Great? Was he a hero or a villain? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.